My grievance is to the Minister for Sport and Recreation concerning Geraldton's lack of elite standard lighting at its premier sports ground, Wonthella Oval. Wonthella Oval has the facilities, playing service and crowd capacity to be regarded as among the best in regional Western Australia. It's been outlined as the premier sporting ground in the city's 2012 draft Sporting Futures report. But Geraldton lacks the lighting infrastructure necessary to attract and host elite state or national sporting events and large-scale community events and expos. Geraldton's climate dictates elite-level sport is best played in the evenings, especially over the hot summer months, adding to the necessity for events of such significant stature to be played under lights of a quality not less than 500 lux capacity. The 500 lux lighting is not only viewed as an essential factor in accommodating a wide range of community-level uses, but will also enable Geraldton and the region to host AFL pre-season games, WAFL fixtures, state representative cricket matches, national and state-level soccer, representative rugby and other high-profile elite-level sporting events. Other regional centres such as Albany, Bunbury, Broome and Port Hedland already have 500 plus lux lighting at venues, and I believe it's important that Geraldton should join these communities in offering 500 lux lights for our 40,000 strong population, the regional population of 49,000 on the Batavia coast, with another 4,500 in the North Midlands and 4,500 in the Murchison. The 500 lux lights will also allow sport greater flexibility in fixturing and open up midweek competition for usage after working hours. It would also allow for the scheduling of midweek Great Northern Football League and Great Northern Junior Football League fixtures at Wonthella Oval. The ability to attract and host elite sporting events and large-scale community events at this venue will undoubtedly have significant economic spin-off for the city of Greater Geraldton and the Midwest region as a whole. The West Australian Football League fully supports Geraldton's request to install 500 lux lights at Wonthella Oval. As part of the DSNR's Country Sport Enrichment Scheme games, the WAFL holds regular fixtures in regional WA, and Geraldton, being a major regional hub, is in a strong position to host more WAFL games and potentially AFL pre-season games in the future. The WAFL have stated that having high-lux lights at football venue forms part of player welfare and contributes to positive game environments for night fixtures. In communication with my office, WA Football Commission Senior Officer Paul Leckius said anything less than 500 lux lighting would restrict the growth of sport in Geraldton and effectively negate any chance of attracting national sporting events to play at Wonthella Park. He said with Geraldton's hot summers, the only chance of attracting an AFL NAB Cup game to the city would be if the game was played under lights in the evening. The Board of the Midwest Academy of Sport is also supportive of improved lighting at Wonthella Oval to a minimum of 500 lux. A high standard of facilities are necessary in order for the Academy to achieve its mission of providing an exceptional home training environment for talented Midwest athletes. Such lighting will enable training in the evenings and early mornings, where a lack of light would otherwise adversely affect the quality and the safety levels of training. Appropriate lighting is particularly vital for sports where high speeds of ball usage are involved. Elite sports that would consider coming to Geraldton to play under 500 lux lighting facilities at Wonthella include AFL pre-season NAB Cup games, the WAFL, State Rugby the Western Force, State Soccer Perth Glory, 50 over or T20 cricket, Western Warriors or Perth Scorchers. We have letters of support from all of these organisations. Geraldton is also home to the Midwest Football Academy, one of Clontarf's best performing academies in Australia.
Members.
It's in its 10th year and is expected to have 300 students in it in a few years' time. High-grade lighting would no doubt help the Academy with their program over the summer months. AFL Community Facilities and Project Manager Ken Gannon has confirmed the League's support for the project and have pledged a funding of $100,000 through their Facilities Development Reserve as part of their support for grassroots football development. I commend them for their support. However, the AFL funds are only available for 500 lux lighting. Currently, the CSRFF has committed $230,000 for 250 lux lighting. The City of Greater Geraldton has committed a total of $580,000 towards 500 lux lighting, and there is an application to the Midwest Development Commission for $590,000. The city's money is dependent on funding from the Midwest Development Commission. 500 lux lighting is something that a large number of people have been working towards in Geraldton for about 6 years. Their hard work has resulted in the commitment from the AFL, the City of Greater Geraldton, and strong consideration from the Midwest Development Commission. However, budgetary pressures are making a number of city councillors question the project. A reluctance on behalf of your department to find some extra funds for 500 lux lighting could result in the project falling over. I recently tabled a 730 signature petition in favour of the 500 lux lighting. I spent 3 hours recently on a Sunday collecting signatures outside Wonthella Oval before a Towns Northampton game, and I only received supportive comments. Looking to the future, we see this as an extremely proactive move that will have a positive impact on our community and our region. I'm asking you to do all you can to help bring about this valuable community project. Too many people have done too much work to see it slip away. Thank you.
Right, Minister.
Mr Speaker, I thank the member for Geraldton for your grievance and for the representation of sport and your support of sport in Geraldton and that region. And this is a fair grievance, and I applaud the local people for wanting to take their lighting to that level. I'll just give you a little bit of background to start with on this project. In the 13-14 Community Sport and Recreation Forward Planning Round, that's a major round, the City of Greater Geraldton applied for a grant of $577,500 for the installation of flood lighting at Wonthella Oval. This was to be for 750 lux infield and 500 lux outfield lighting. The main justification in the application for this level of lighting was to host night AFL pre-season games. I just want to point out that that is not a priority under the Community Sport and Recreation Facilities Fund consideration. And I just say right from the outset, the focus of that program is for community sport, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. However, the city did receive a grant, so the panel acknowledged that there was a need for lighting, and the grant in the 13-14 round was, as the member said, was for $230,000. This was provided on the basis that there was 300 lux infield and 250 lux outfield, which caters for football and cricket night matches at an amateur and community level. I also point out that under the WA Football Commission, you can also play WAFL games at that level. And keeping in mind that the actual recommendation for lighting levels for amateur club competition for football is 100 lux. But I think, and we've made it the Sport and Rec work on the basis of taking it to 250 lux to make sure that it's good, it's safe, etc. Just so, member, and I'll give all members some context on how this works. Grant applications are assessed at a local level in regional WA by the Department of Sport and Recreation regional managers, in this case in the Midwest. Recommendations are provided to the CSRFF committee, which is an independent committee. They assess the application and make recommendations to me as a minister. And I just want to stress that it is an independent process and it's worked well over many years. The program's purpose, and this is where we need to focus on, the program's purpose is to support for community level infrastructure with the aim of increasing physical activity. So that's the basis we work on. This is very much about community. And the committee took the view, which both myself as Sports Minister and as a Cabinet, we supported, that the funding provided for 250 lux lighting mix was appropriate and more than sufficient for community level football. And there is a lot of country communities that hold night football and cricket under those lights. And I applaud that they want to take it further, and there's no problem with their doing that, but under our fund, we fund it to the community level. The member did make a point to me that other regional centres, Albany and Bunbury, have received state funding for 500 lux lighting, which is being used as a precedent and a justification to receive similar funding. But I just want to advise the member, those projects were funded from election commitments, not CSRFF recommended process. So one-off special functions, of which Albany got one. And you also mentioned Broome and Port Hedland. We actually saying that they have 500 lux. I'm not sure exactly what their lux are, other than I know that we supported upgrades in those towns to 250 lux. If they've taken it further, then they've obviously done that. They've funded it from another source, which is what it. Well, they've got BHP funding, and so we fund it to the community level. If you want to take it further, then you can, because the committee has to weigh up the merits of spending. We're spending, a lot of taxpayers' dollars, and we've got to make sure that if we're spending over and above what is required for the community for a need that may not ever be met. Now, the argument will be that money went to Coburn Council. The actual funding is for the community. If you want to take it further, you can. AFL pre-season games. We've had AFL pre-season games in Western Australia. We haven't had a night one in the country. And with the new format, and that format may change from time to time, I noticed the AFL are prepared to help you out, I think, up to the tune of $100,000. That's good. I applaud them for that. That's good. The other thing is, if we support those projects at the higher level, we have so much money to spread across the applications, and all of our applications are oversubscribed. So if we start funding to that higher level across all of our community, across Western Australia, then other projects that are probably a priority in other areas don't get funded. So we try to fund as many projects as we can at the community level. So that is the focus. And just so you know, I think the major round this year, where we had $17.5 million for the major round, around that figure, I think the ask was over $30 million. And just recently I announced grants this week. The amount was $740,000 and the applications for $1.1 million. So there are a lot of good projects that don't get up initially. And I just say, members, remember, it's a community. It's the Community Sport and Recreation Facilities Fund. So that's why the focus on community. My priority is to support projects that certainly support our communities and those that keep our local communities physically active. Funding the lights to that level will do that. Whether the AFL game, those type of things, they're great to have if you can get them. And if the local community wants, I'm happy to try and support them whichever way, but I won't interfere with the fund and the way it works. Also, just remember, just in the last couple of minutes or last minute, just in the Midwest, we've provided substantial funding to Geraldton and that Midwest region, and the Talent Academy is a good example of that. So we have strong commitment. I actually admire the people who are driving this and want to do it. And if I can help you raise that extra funding to get to that situation, then I'm happy to do it. But it just does not line up with our Community Recreation Sport Facility Fund. And but I appreciate the member raising this with me. It was raised with me when I was in Geraldton. I've spoken in these same terms to members of the sporting clubs up there. So I think they understand it, but they're driving for it, and good on them. That's what we want them to do.